Hello and welcome back to our celebration of Quebec and Montreal. We're here at one of the most spectacular locations in Quebec. It's just 15 minutes from downtown and it's the most beautiful thing I think I've seen in a long, long while. It's the big waterfall here that everybody talks about, and it's actually taller than Niagara. Joining me is Nicole from Quebec Tourism to tell us all about it. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. And thanks for inviting us to see this most beautiful of attractions. Nature always has the last laugh, doesn't it? The attractions that God creates are always the biggest and the best.
Yes, it's taller than Niagara Falls, about 100 feet higher than the Niagara Falls, so we're very proud of that.
Now, there's so much history surrounding these waterfalls. We should start by saying the name correctly. Help me with that.
Montmorency Falls.
Montmorency Falls. And of course there's the Montmorency Lodge just down there, which is like an old country house in Britain. And there's a lot of British connections to it, aren't there?
Yeah, the first house was built by Mr. Haldeman. He was the gentleman coming from Switzerland, but he was working for the British. After that, it was the summer residence, I should say, of the Duke of Kent. And the Duke of Kent had a love affair in Quebec City, a liaison, they say. And when his father heard about that, he called him back in Great Britain, got him married to a German princess. They had a daughter, and the daughter became the Queen Victoria.
We should explain what we're looking at the moment. We're looking over the St. Lawrence River, which is where this water goes from the waterfall. It really is a panoramic view, isn't it, of Quebec?
Yes, of course. And from here we see the island in front of the waterfall, which is called Ile d'Orléans. And we have a beautiful view over Quebec City as well.
We're taping this in November, and it's getting cold, but it's nowhere as cold as it's going to get, is it?
No, because we're having snow pretty soon, and the river freezes, and the fall doesn't freeze completely. See, the mist of the fall is always running, but the mist of the fall crystallizes and it forms at the bottom. It piles up, and we call it the Sugarloaf, and people can slide down on that Sugarloaf.
I'm fascinated by this. Obviously, I haven't seen it, but I've seen pictures of it. And it's like a huge mushroom that comes out from the bottom of the waterfall.
Like a big pile of sugar, white sugar.
Yeah. This is a city of two halves, isn't it, really? There are those who come for the summer, for the sunshine and the beauty of Quebec in the summer. And then there are those who leave because it gets too cold.
Exactly. But, you know, we have 4 seasons, and all of those seasons, they have their charm, you know. So we like to say that in Quebec City, we don't suffer the snow, we enjoy the snow.
Tell me about where the water's coming from. As we look at the waterfall now, the water's coming from the mountains. Presumably that gets increasingly more rapid in the winter.
Yes, of course. It's the snow melting, you know, and heavy rain as well. And so it comes down more and more rapidly to the waterfall, and then it goes into the St. Lawrence River. And
tell us some statistics about the waterfall itself. How high is it?
Totally, it's 83 meters.
I don't know about you, but for me, Nicole, this is kind of nerve-wracking because there's a lookout just down there, which I'm going nowhere near, which literally dangles over the edge of the waterfall. I'm not going to go into that, are you?
Me neither.
Well, it is terrifying, and I don't blame you.
But the lookout that you were mentioning, it's nice because you see you have a beautiful view over the waterfall. It's very safe. It's very, very safe.
You've picked a beautiful day to bring me here because the sun is shining. It's very warm at the moment, which is very unusual for this time of year, and it is just spectacular to look over the St. Lawrence River, just weeding its way through Quebec is just so beautiful, and it's enormous, isn't it? How wide is the river?
Well, the river, see, it starts from the ocean down to the Great Lakes, so totally it's up to 2,600 kilometers.
And at this point it's wider, but as you go towards the city it goes more narrow, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's why we have a ferry service between Quebec City, downtown, to the other city on the other side of the St. Lawrence, because we are on the north side of the river, facing the south shore, and it is so narrow at this point. That's why they cannot build a bridge, so that's why we have this ferry service there.
And as for the island itself, before the bridge was built, which we can just see through the trees, they used to have to ride over in the horse and cart when the water froze. Is that right?
Yeah, well, they were crossing the river on the ice bridge, and there was somebody every morning checking out the thickness of the bridge. You know, they were going on horses and carriage, no cars in those days. And in the summer season, there was a ferry coming from downtown to the island, and a lot of people, they have their own little boat, you know, to go downtown. But what they were doing in between, you know, when the ferry stops and there was snow, they had to wait for the thickness of the ice to cross on the river with horses and carriage.
And tell me, how long is the island?
The island is 20 miles long, but about 5 miles in the width. 6 villages only on the island. All the houses are built around the island, and the middle part is really kept for agriculture. As a matter of fact, it's kind of the garden of Quebec City. There's a lot of vineyards as well. At first, Jean Cartier, who discovered the island, named it Ile de Bacchus, Bacchus being the god of wine. So you can stop at a lot of places on the island and you can taste the wine.
And Nicole, you told me earlier during the winter there's only about 7,000 people live there.
Yes, exactly. A lot of farms. About 250 farms on the island, dairy farms, different kind of farms. Only about 7,000 people living on there. And in the summer season, a lot of people in the close surroundings, you know, they move on the island. So it goes up to 11,000 people. So close by to downtown as well.
Well, this has been a true pleasure. Thank you so much for bringing me here. I can't believe how warm it is stood here. We must have picked the most marvellous moment in November.
It has been specially ordered for you.
Nicole Bergeron, thank you so much for bringing us here to the wonderful waterfall, which is a must-see if you come to Quebec, because it's just stunning, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a must-see, and as you said, it's so properly yourself, being so close by from downtown. I mean, it's only a 15-minute drive.
And just listen to that as we stick the microphone over the side of this lookout post here and hear the gallons, hundreds of gallons of water just trickling over every second.